Hey guys, Hamish here and welcome back to MooshFit. Today we're going to be doing a deadlift workout tutorial. I'm going to be going through 3 tips to help you work on your deadlift, but I'm not going to be doing it alone. That's right, we've got JB from the original Dweebs, so let's jump straight into it. Alright guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through 3 tips to help you work on your deadlift. Now these 3 tips are going to be for beginners, but they can be really handy for those who have been deadlifting for a while if they need a refresher on their cues and exactly what they're trying to work on with their deadlift. After I've gone through those 3 tips, I'm going to be working on a workout with JB, and we're going to work up and try and develop our deadlift. I might end up going for a few heavier sets, maybe go for 1 RM, depending on how I feel, but let's jump into the tips. So the first tip to work on your deadlift is to keep a neutral spine as much as possible, especially in your lower back. One of the most common things you'll see, and this goes for experienced lifters as well, is when they start to work with heavy weights on the deadlift, you'll start to notice that their back rounds a little bit. And when this rounding happens, especially in the lower back, that's not really what we want to happen, because that puts us at an increased risk of getting injured. Instead, what we want to do is keep our spine as neutral or as straight as possible. So that's going to look like this from the side. So when you set up for your deadlift, you're going to be bent down like this. You want to be keeping your lower back straight, not overextended, but straight, and keep that straight line going through with the rest of your back and your neck as well. So you don't want to be looking up too much. You want your neck to be in a neutral position and your lower back, and then you pick the bar up from there, keeping your back straight the whole way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this first tip with JB. So I'll get JB in here, and if you want to take your position there. So what we want to do is we want to have our feet roughly shoulder width apart, right, and our hands just outside our shoulders, like that. Yep, that's the way. And what I'll get you to do is I'll get you to bend down and pick up the bar, or with your hands on the bar. That's the way. Now what you want to do is you want to bring your hips up a little bit. You want to try and keep your back straight. So if you can, yep, all right. So now slowly lower the bar. All right, bend at the knees, that's the way. Keep that back straight, keep that back straight, keep that back straight. Awesome, and that's it. All right, so again, so you want to start lowering the bar, bend at the knees, and keep that back nice and straight. Straight, straight, yep, that's the way. All right, hold there, and back up, keeping that back straight, there you are, and push through. And again, drop, bend at the knees, keeping that back straight, 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 hold, and back up. Perfect, awesome, nice dude. All right, so we've successfully worked through tip number 1. We're going to move on to tip number 2, and this is to make sure that your hips don't come up first. So what we want to do when we're lifting is we want to keep our hips below our shoulders. What happens a lot of the time is you'll see when people try to deadlift, they try to generate their force by shooting their hips up first and then try to pull the weight up by hinging at the hips there. Now, obviously you do want to hinge at the hips, but you want to keep your hips lower than your shoulders to keep your lower back in a healthy position. So again, that's going to look like this. Keeping your hips lower than your shoulders there.
And as Shakira says, hips don't lie. All right.
So I'm going to do a little demonstration with JB here. What I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to pick up the bar for me. Alright, now what I want you to do, keeping your legs straight, is I want you to, now this is obviously safe because we don't have much weight on the bar here. I wouldn't get him to do this with 100 kilos. We've only got 20 kilos here. What I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to lean forward with the bar out in front of you like that, keeping those knees straight. Alright, and lower. And what you'll start to feel is a lot of tension in your lower back there. All right, so all the work is being done by your lower back there. And the lower our shoulders go compared to our hips, the more strain that's going to put on our lower back, and you can already start to see him there maybe. That back is starting to round there into an unhealthy position. So if you want to stand up, instead what we want to do, as I may have alluded to in the first tip, is we want to make sure that we're bending at the knees enough to keep our back at a stable angle. So what I'll get you to do is slowly lower the bar and now bend at the knees. Keeping that back straight. Hips away, hips straight. Perfect, and stop there. That's an awesome position to be in. So we can see that our back is nice and straight, but also at a healthy angle there. That's not putting our lower back under too much strain. And stand up again. Perfect. Nice.
Nice.
All right, so we've successfully worked through the first two tips, being to keep our lower back and the rest of our spine as neutral as possible, and to keep our hips below our shoulders as we come up. We're gonna move on to tip number 3, our final tip, which is to keep the bar as close to our body as possible. And this tip is directly related to the previous tip, which is to keep our hips below our shoulders. So what happens when our hips shoot up first, is we actually have a tendency, so we start down here, the hips shoot up, we have a tendency for the bar to move out in front of our body there and create some forward and back instability. And the more instability we have moving forward and back, the harder it is to go up and down. Instead, what we want to do, and this is helped by keeping our hips lower than our shoulders, is keep the bar in tight to our body. So if I turn this way again, if I'm here, I almost want to picture dragging the bar up the front of my body. And that will help to keep everything tight and compact and reduce that instability moving away from our body. All right, so we're gonna get JB to demonstrate here for us. So if you wanna come down here, set up, pick up the bar for me. All right, nice and straight. So what I'm gonna get you to do is I'm going to get you to lower the bar, bend at the knees. All right, and pause there. Now what I want you to do is bring that bar in against your shins. All right, now when you lift, I want you to lightly drag that bar up your legs, all right? And they're keeping it close to your thighs now, pulling it into you and straightening all the way up. There you go. Bit high. All right, so down again. Down your thighs, down your shins, and pause. Your back's in a good position, which is awesome. And back up again. All right, one more time. So down again. Keeping it on your shins. Pause there. Keep your back straight. Yep, and drag it up your thighs. Through the top. Nice, dude. All right, and again, so if you want to start lowering the bar, bend at the knees, keeping that bar against your shins. Keep that back straight as well.
Is it straight?
Relatively.
Okay.
Yep. Now drag it up your shins and up your thighs.
Ooh.
Nice. All right, one more time. Down your thighs, down your shins. Oh, pause. Let's straighten up there. All right, so your back is quite rounded now, so you want to bend more at your hips. All right, let's come back up. All right, so you want to lower. All right, bend at the knees. All right, and now lean forward here. Getting that bar close, flat back. And pause there, that's better. All right, and back up. All right, cool, nice dude. All right, so we've gone through our 3 tips, guys. What we're gonna do now is we've added a little bit of weight to the bar. Because JB hasn't done much deadlifting before, we're gonna keep it light, but we're gonna go through a few sets to work on those movements and to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe and keeping those 3 tips in mind. So keep that back as straight as possible. Perfect. Down. Down. Alright, so that's pretty good. The only thing is that your hips are actually possibly a little bit too low, and so you're almost in like this position, trying to like deadlift from here. So you kind of want to make sure that what I want you to work on is, or just for the next one, is kind of like sticking your butt out a little bit more as opposed to like really low. Kind of stick it out a little bit more.
Yep.
Makes sense? I want your feet kind of like standard width.
Yep.
Right? And your hands just outside.
Alrighty, dude.
So back straight. Perfect. Your butt's going a little low. So keep your butt a bit higher. But the plates still need to touch the ground. Does that make sense? Yeah, like that. That's better. Nice. drag up your shins. Nice. Perfect. Drag it down your shins. You can let it hit and rest on the floor if you want. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Sweet, dude. Alright guys, so those are my 3 tips for beginners or anyone trying to work on their deadlift. Try and keep that back as neutral as possible. Don't let your hips shoot up too high, and also keep that bar nice and close to your body. Now that we've done that, I'm gonna jump into some heavier deadlifts, work up to maybe a heavy set of 3, maybe even a 1 rep max. We'll see how I feel. Let's go. Alright, so these deadlifts are feeling pretty good. I've only been doing 1, so I just did 140 for 1 then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go 157.5 kilos for 1 rep, and then I'm going to try and go for a 1 rep max. Previously I've done 170 kilos. I might see if I can do 172 and a half, maybe even 175 if I'm feeling confident, but we'll see how we go. Alright guys, pretty stoked. Just hit a 1 rep max on the deadlift, 175 kilos. That's the first time I've done that. Last time I tested, I did 170, and that was about 2 months ago. I've been training 5x5 on my deadlift and my squat, so that kind of shows you the amount of progress you can expect to make, the time frame using the 5x5 training method. If you like this video guys, if you found it helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out some of my other videos, and I'll be back again shortly.